Warning: the following program contains blunt truth, dark humor, and opinions that might offend the same people who think looting is protest and corruption is policy. Listener discretion is advised. If you're allergic to reality or still believe CNN fact checks are gospel, you might want to turn back now. For everyone else, welcome to Data Dissonance, where we don't rewrite the truth to fit the narrative. We tear the narrative open to find the truth inside.
America's having one of those Mondays, the kind where the headlines feel like prophecies from a civilization that stopped pretending it's okay. The country's capital is locked in another government shutdown. Benefits are glitching, grocery aisles are emptying, and elites are clinking glasses under chandeliers paid for by the same taxpayers who can't afford bread. We've got chaos at the checkout line, curfews in the cities, and a Washington circus arguing over who loves the poor more while doing absolutely nothing for them. This isn't a crisis of politics. It's a collapse of priorities. You can't call it compassion when your policies leave seniors hungry. You can't call it leadership when your luxury spending outpaces your public service. And you sure as hell can't call it unity when half the country's being told to shut up and pay for everyone else's bad decisions. So tonight, we're cutting through the noise. From the EBT breakdown to the elite ballroom bash to the shutdown theater choking the nation. We're naming names, connecting dots, and reminding the powerful that Americans haven't forgotten how to see through the fog. This is Data and Dissonance. Let's bring in the crew. Kicking off another wild week in America's favorite madhouse. Let's start with the man whose blood pressure rises faster than gas prices. Brian, the MAGA flamethrower who still thinks every government form should come with a refund check. Then there's Rachel, our independent truth detector, somehow keeping her sanity between a conspiracy theorist, a political pyromaniac, and me. Over on the far wall of reason, or maybe unreason, we've got Daniel, the conspiracy conductor whose corkboard has more red string than a crime drama. And rounding out the madness, Skylar, our progressive Green Party firebrand, fighting the machine while somehow being surrounded by three guys who are the machine. Together, they're the most chaotic think tank in podcast history, and I'm your host, Artie Roy III. Welcome to Monday. Let's start with the story that hit every screen from Baton Rouge to Baltimore. The EBT collapse and the chaos that followed. Look, I get the frustration. My mom's 83 years old, lives alone down in Louisiana, and yes, she's on food stamps. The state's at least trying. They're giving her 25% of her benefits each week just to keep food on the table. But what about the blue states? Instead of coming up with real fixes, they're running to the cameras to blame Republicans for the shutdown. Here's the truth. Every Republican in both chambers has voted to reopen the government. It's the Democrats saying no, unless the GOP signs off on free healthcare for illegals and billions more for foreign nonsense. You want to talk about misplaced priorities? That's it right there. Feeding our people should come before funding every global cause under the sun. This isn't compassion. It's corruption in a cheap suit.
Exactly, Artie. You nailed it. This isn't about poverty, it's about politics. They want chaos because chaos keeps voters scared and dependent. If people are too busy panicking over missing benefits, they don't have time to notice the waste and fraud buried in these spending bills. And you're right. Louisiana showed leadership. They didn't cry about it, they adapted. Meanwhile, states like California are busy issuing press releases and TikTok videos blaming conservatives while they hand out free groceries to illegals. The optics are disgusting. America's working class is starving, seniors are struggling, but the left's only concern is whether their activist donors are happy. It's time we stop calling this a glitch. It's a wake-up call.
Rachel, jump in here. You're always the sanity check when everyone else is yelling. What's your read?
I think both of you make fair points. What we're seeing isn't just policy failure, it's moral failure. People on assistance don't choose to be there. They're supposed to have stability, not uncertainty. But politicians have turned survival into a partisan football. Republicans are trying to keep the government open without blank checks, and Democrats are trying to force through every pet project by holding people hostage. It's manipulative and it's cruel. We can have compassion without enabling waste, and we can balance budgets without punishing the vulnerable. But the political theater won't let nuance exist. It's exhausting.
Daniel, I know you've got pins on this one. Is it chaos or coordination?
Both. Watch the pattern. Every few years, the system breaks, right when the government's losing control of the narrative. Food riots, benefit outages, digital glitches, it's all pressure testing. The more reliant people become on federal systems, the easier it is to control behavior when those systems fail. You can almost hear the sales pitch coming. This wouldn't happen if we had one national digital currency. Don't buy it. Every crisis is a setup for more control, and the media sells it as compassion because they know the truth wouldn't fit in a headline.
Skylar, last word before we pivot. What's your take?
I think it's proof that the system's broken top to bottom. You can't keep running an economy where people can't afford food or housing and expect peace. Whether it's glitches or greed, people are reacting to desperation. The rich have parachutes, the poor have panic. Both parties talk about reform, but neither actually does it. If we want to stop these breakdowns, we need policies that make work pay and survival possible. That's not socialism, it's decency.
And that right there is the through line. Decency. Not politics, not slogans. Real people hurting while Washington argues about pronouns and pipelines. My mom shouldn't have to wait for a state workaround to eat. Veterans shouldn't be collateral damage. This country has to remember who it's supposed to feed first, its own citizens. Until it does, we'll keep replaying this same script. Let's move on. All right, before we go any further down the EBT rabbit hole, let's talk about the latest thing the left has decided to be offended by. President Trump building a ballroom at the White House. With his own money. Yeah, that's right. Not taxpayer cash, not a congressional earmark, not a line item buried in a $6 trillion omnibus. His own wallet. Now, you'd think a president spending his own money to improve government property would be a breath of fresh air, but nope. Elizabeth Warren popped up like a prairie dog in campaign season, demanding an investigation. Into what, exactly? A private checkbook? A conservative spending responsibly? I swear if Trump personally funded a bridge, they'd accuse him of gentrifying infrastructure.
See, this is why I love that man. The guy's building a ballroom with his own money, while half of Congress can't even build a balanced budget. You've got Liz, 1/1000th Cherokee Warren screaming about corruption because Trump's doing something presidents should have been doing for decades, taking responsibility instead of writing "I owe US" to taxpayers. They act like it's a crime for a rich man to spend his own money. And honestly, Artie, I think what really drives them nuts is the idea that he can do it without them. No committees, no paperwork, no bureaucratic nonsense. Just, I'm paying for it, now get out of the way. They hate that level of independence because it reminds America what self-reliance actually looks like.
Exactly. The man spends his own cash to upgrade a building that's been around since Washington himself, and the left treats it like Watergate 2.0. Meanwhile, they're still pretending Hunter Biden's laptop was a Sudoku puzzle. Rachel, help me out. Are we living in satire?
Pretty much. Look, you don't have to like Trump to admit this is ridiculous. The same people who cheer when politicians blow billions on pointless programs are suddenly fiscal hawks when a Republican spends his own money. It's hypocrisy on caffeine. The truth is, the ballroom isn't the scandal. They just can't handle the optics of someone wealthy doing something patriotic without demanding applause. If Biden had built it, there'd be a PBS documentary about restoring American elegance. But because it's Trump, it's a conflict of interest. Give me a break. At least he's funding something tangible instead of another committee to study feelings.
And it goes deeper than that, Rachel. This is narrative warfare. They can't allow Trump to look generous or capable because that breaks their propaganda loop. Think about it. One man quietly paying for infrastructure while the government's literally shut down. That's not just symbolic, it's dangerous for the establishment. It reminds the public that we don't need a bloated system to get things done. The investigation is just theater. Pocahontas pretending to protect the public while really protecting her political brand. Because every time Trump acts competent, their whole worldview starts glitching.
Yeah, Liz Warren's out here yelling corruption, like she found classified documents in a dance floor blueprint. I half expect her to demand reparations from the marble supplier. Skylar, you're the resident progressive. Come on, there's gotta be some part of this that even you think is overkill.
I'll admit it's absurd. If Trump's footing the bill, then fine. It's his money, his project. We've got bigger problems than a privately funded ballroom. That said, I think the reason people like Warren react this way is that Trump doesn't play by the unwritten rules. The political system's built on committees, votes, and process. He just skips all that. It's jarring, but I also think the left keeps shooting itself in the foot by attacking optics instead of policy. Like, investigating a self-funded project just makes them look bitter, like they'd rather complain than compete. And frankly, that's getting old.
Thank you, Skylar. You just accidentally summarized the entire Democratic Party platform. We hate it because it worked. The truth is, this isn't about a ballroom. It's about a billionaire reminding politicians what efficiency looks like. The guy's improving federal property with zero taxpayer cost. I don't care if you love him or hate him. That's the kind of leadership Washington hasn't seen in decades. So yeah, Liz Warren can call for her investigation. She can assemble a panel of experts, issue subpoenas, and tweet in all caps about accountability. Meanwhile, Trump will be measuring drapes, writing checks, and finishing the project before her committee even finds a meeting room. That's why they can't stand him. He doesn't need their permission to make things better. And in the swamp, that's the biggest sin of all. Before we all move into the woods and start living off-grid, let's talk about something worth spending on. Coffee that won't betray you. Data and Dissonance coffee. 3 blends for every kind of American morning. If you wake up calm and optimistic, grab the High Lakes Light Roast. If you start your day scrolling headlines and screaming at your phone, you'll want the Rock Creek Medium Roast. And if you've accepted the chaos, stare into the abyss with Bitterroot Dark French Roast. Smooth, strong, and slightly bitter. Kinda like every taxpayer right now. Roasted in the USA, packaged by Patriots, and guaranteed to make you care slightly less about the next government spending bill. Order yours at dataanddissonance.printify.me. All right, let's talk about the soap opera currently rerunning on every channel, Shutdown Theater. You know the plot? Republicans vote to reopen the government. Democrats refuse unless we fund a global shopping spree, and the media blames Republicans anyway. It's like watching a bad sequel with the same actors pretending it's new material. The country's broke, but somehow we still find billions for programs that make zero sense. I mean, I saw one proposal that funded climate outreach in Antarctica. Antarctica. You know what the Penguin said about climate change? Waddle on, bro.
Exactly. They call it compassion. I call it extortion, with better lighting. They'll cry about unpaid workers while holding the paychecks hostage. Democrats love shutdowns. They get to play victims and heroes at the same time. Oh, look at these poor people suffering because the GOP won't cave. No, look at these poor people suffering because your party treats the budget like a ransom note. They're not trying to fix America. They're trying to guilt trip it. And the worst part is half the country believes it. You turn on CNN and it's like a hostage video. Tell the Republicans to fund everything or the puppy gets it. Meanwhile, the GOP is the only one actually voting to reopen the government. It's political gaslighting on a national scale.
Rachel, your face says you've got thoughts and probably a migraine.
I do. Because the whole thing's exhausting. Every year it's the same cycle. They spend too much, argue too loud, and shut it all down. Then they blame each other and expect applause for fixing the problem they created. It's like setting your kitchen on fire so you can brag about putting it out. What frustrates me most is that there's zero accountability. The rest of us miss a payment and get hit with late fees. Congress misses an entire government and gets reelected. If this was a real job, HR would have fired everyone years ago.
And that's exactly why it keeps happening. Controlled chaos breeds compliance. The longer the shutdown drags, the more desperate people become for a solution. any solution. That's when they roll out the next emergency measure that just happens to increase federal control. It's the same trick every empire uses before it implodes. You think Rome fell overnight? Nah, they just kept funding bread, circuses, and foreign wars until the treasury turned to dust. Sound familiar? America doesn't need another continuing resolution. It needs a continuing revelation. Because the system's broken by design, and the people funding it are the punchline.
Skylar's been waiting like a coiled spring. Go on, hit us with the Green Party gospel.
Look, I'm no fan of the left's spending addiction, but let's not pretend Republicans don't play their part. Half the folks screaming about fiscal responsibility just approved another defense budget bigger than the next 10 countries combined. So yeah, the shutdowns, political theater, but the audience keeps buying tickets. Both parties thrive on outrage because outrage raises money. Meanwhile, people's rent's late, food banks are empty, and everyone's tired. You want real reform? Make shutdowns illegal. If Congress can't do its job, dock their pay until they do. Watch how fast things start moving. Then.
I love it. Skylar's basically threatening to unionize Congress. You know what? I'm here for it. Because at this point, nothing short of paycheck panic's gonna wake those people up. The truth is, this shutdown isn't about money. It's about control. It's about who gets to define compassion, who gets to play savior, and who gets to write the script for the next crisis. But the audience, us, is getting wise to the act. And when the curtain finally falls, the same politicians who caused the problem will be out there selling popcorn. Not tonight, though. Tonight, we call it what it is. Performance art for a dying bureaucracy. All right, that was a heavy Monday. We covered a nation where grocery aisles are battlegrounds, elites are building ballrooms during food shortages, and the government can't even pay itself without a fight. You can't make this up. But beneath all the insanity, there's still something worth holding on to. People who care, who show up, who still believe in fixing what's broken instead of burning it all down. Let's go around the table one last time before I close us out. Brian, start us off.
You know, Artie, I keep thinking about how every single crisis in this country somehow ends with the same people lecturing us about sacrifice while they're chauffeured to cocktail fundraisers. And here's the kicker. They act shocked when folks are angry. You build a system that punishes hard work and rewards dependency, and then you're confused when society cracks. The problem isn't capitalism, it's corruption. America doesn't need another entitlement program. It needs a reality check. We used to be a nation that celebrated people who built something from nothing. Now we celebrate people who tear things down and call it activism. But I'll say this, hope's not gone. You drive through the heartland and see small towns that still wave the flag, still open doors for each other, still show up on Sundays because they believe in something bigger than themselves. That's the America I fight for. Not the elites, not the pundits, not the bureaucrats, the builders, the dreamers, the grinders. The people who don't need a stimulus check to keep showing up. So yeah, I'm fired up, but I'm not hopeless. This country's still worth every ounce of fight we've got left in us.
What gets me, Brian, is how predictable it's all become. Every year, it's a new crisis, a new blame game, a new headline telling us who to hate. And in the middle of it all are regular people who just want stability. We've turned empathy into a political weapon instead of a human instinct. We could fix so much if we stopped treating every disagreement like a war and every compromise like surrender. I'm independent for a reason, because both sides have forgotten that governing is supposed to mean serving. When I see seniors worrying about food, veterans stuck in red tape, and working families drowning in bills, it's not because there's no money, it's because there's no moral compass. You can balance compassion and accountability. It's not impossible, but that takes maturity, and DC hasn't seen that in a while. My hope is that everyday people start realizing their power again. Stop waiting for someone in a suit to save you. The real leadership is happening in homes, schools, small businesses. People doing the right thing quietly, every day. That's where the rebuild starts.
You know, Rachel, you're right. But I'll add this. The chaos isn't accidental. None of it ever is. You can almost set your watch by it. Every few months, There's a new national crisis designed to keep us divided, distracted, and desperate. EBT glitches, shutdowns, media panic, it's all part of a rhythm. The elites thrive on instability because calm people start asking questions, so they make sure calm never lasts. But here's the good news. More people are waking up. They're questioning the script. They're starting to see that politics is theater, and the actors aren't as good as they used to be. Once people see the strings, the puppet show loses its magic. That's why they're terrified of independent thought. Podcasts like this and platforms they can't control. Because once you unplug from the narrative, you can't be reprogrammed. So my final thought? Doubt everything, but don't despair. Truth has a way of surviving censorship. You can bury it under propaganda, but eventually it grows right through the cracks.
Daniel, you're not wrong about the manipulation, but I think some of it comes from apathy, not malice. We've built a system where politicians treat governing like a game, and the rest of us treat democracy like a spectator sport. Everyone's waiting for someone else to fix it, and that's how we got here. Real change happens when regular people stop scrolling and start showing up at city halls, school boards, community centers. And here's the part that might surprise you. I agree with a lot of what you all said tonight. The government's bloated, the spending's insane, and the elites are detached. But we can't rebuild America on anger alone. We've got to find purpose again. Common purpose. Whether you're red, blue, or something in between, we all want a country that works. That means accountability, fairness, and dignity. It means cutting waste, but not compassion. I want the same thing you guys want, a country that remembers its people. We're not enemies. We're just living under a system that profits off keeping us that way.
You know, I sit here every night listening to all of you, and sometimes I laugh, sometimes I grit my teeth. But tonight, I'm reminded of why we do this. It's not to scream into the void or dunk on politicians. It's because we still give a damn. Every one of us, no matter how different, wants this country to be better. Brian's fire, Rachel's reason, Daniel's skepticism, Skylar's compassion. It's proof that disagreement doesn't mean division. It means democracy's still breathing. My mom's 83, living on food stamps, stretching every dollar like most seniors do. She doesn't care about shutdowns or talking points. She cares about whether she can afford eggs next week. And that's what this show's really about. Cutting through the theater to talk about what matters. The everyday Americans holding this country together while the people in charge play dress-up in ballrooms they didn't pay for. So here's my final thought. America doesn't break because of corrupt leaders. It breaks when good people stop believing they can fix it. And I still believe. I believe in the small-town mechanic who works 12 hours and still makes time to coach Little League. I believe in the single mom juggling 2 jobs and still helping her neighbor. I believe in the veteran who refuses to give up on the flag even when the government gives up on him. That's America. Not the marble halls, not the headlines, the people. So yeah, things are rough, but the fire's still burning. And as long as shows like this exist, as long as voices like yours keep rising, they'll never put that fire out. I'm Artie Roy III, and this is Data and Dissonance. Remember, speak truth, stir thought, and never stop laughing in the face of the chaos. Because that laughter, that's freedom. This episode of Data and Dissonance was brought to you by the Caleb Rourke Thriller series. Start with the Covenant Protocol, dive into the Prophet Directive, and gear up for Black Echo Rising. Each one written for patriots, skeptics, and truth seekers who still believe heroes aren't extinct. They're just off the grid. Available now on Amazon and wherever you get your next shot of adrenaline.